Hello, my name is Aaron Castro. My topic is going to be about graffiti and how graffiti is art. I want to persuade my audience to see that graffiti is a form of art and that can bring life into a community. Graffiti is a form of art, and not all graffiti is considered to be a crime. Not always a crime, you know? Graffiti is considered to be one of the most controversial art forms out there. This new art form started back in the 1960s, New York, where a ton of artists painted over public walls and private property. But this is an art form that did not get a positive response from the public and the police. Many consider graffiti as just a bunch of punk kids running around ruining walls, you know? Even though that may be true, I believe that graffiti has a beauty and culture to it. Writing about how graffiti brings to a community has a positive meaning and helps local artists get their word out, you know, kind of like freedom of speech. I'll be explaining how graffiti can bring to a town or a city. Also, graffiti can be a form of speech. And lastly, how graffiti can help artists support themselves, you know. Graffiti brings a lot to a public community. Personality is one of them. Graffiti can bring a lot of personality to a boring neighborhood or city and turn it into something beautiful. Another example is graffiti tends to be right in your face and colorful. It just grabs your attention, you know. And graffiti brings a lot of community. Graffiti brings communities together in some ways. In an article by Gabby Vasquez called "See Photos of the Borderland Jam Graffiti Art Show in the Segundo Barrio" from El Paso Times, quote, "Hundreds of artists gather to paint during President's Day weekend at the Borderland Jam, public graffiti art show held in Segundo Barrio in El Paso." This is a great way to bring artists directly to the public's eye, since most of the art is in closed museums and galleries, and it's very far away. Graffiti brings a lot of culture. A lot of graffiti can be culture-based depending on the area. In El Paso, there's a lot of graffiti that represents Mexican culture since we live in a border town city. Next, I'll be explaining how graffiti is a form of freedom of speech, in my opinion. Graffiti can be used to speak about certain topics that is currently affecting the world, similar to how people use signs and clothing to kind of protest depending on the situation and cause. In an article by Rosita Arma called "Banksy, the Best Paintings and the Meaning of His Art" on Oral Crave, she explains the meaning behind Banksy's quote, "He takes his art as a means of communication loudly and proclaim his dissatisfaction with certain aspects of society, certain political situations, or certain decisions by world leaders." And expression, it is a way for artists to show who they are and what they want to show to people. Artists see an empty walls as like canvases, you know, they see them as canvases, so they're able to paint and express themselves. For example, Keith Haring is a good example. In the video from CBS Sunday Morning called "From the Archives, Keith Haring It Was Here," which Keith draws an empty subway ads. And there's a lot of history when it comes to graffiti. Graffiti is a form of art that has been here for a while and here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. Graffiti can help artists achieve something in the real world, like making a mark for everyone to see. And lastly, I'll explain how graffiti helps artists kind of support themselves, you know? Recognition, people passing by graffiti is, well, most likely shared on social media. Maybe another well-known artist likes the graffiti enough to help the artist out, you know? It, in a way, in a small article by Street Art 102 called "You Can Make Money with Graffiti," explains this, quote, "This can be a very good way making a living, as well as to meet new people who may be able to help you out further in your graffiti artistic career." Support, when someone is interested in the artist graffiti, they want to commission the artist. The artist can bring a lot of this money, can use this money to help them work and sustain a decent living. And respect, yes, graffiti can be sometimes vandalism, but most of it is actually meaningful, you know, very meaningful. We should not all hate graffiti because one person ruined it and that's it. We should respect the artist's effort and creating this piece. So to conclude, not all graffiti is bad, but it is a very experimental art form that should be given a chance. I explain how graffiti can bring to a community and how graffiti is a very great way to express themselves, and also a way to kind of help the artist sustain themselves to continue to paint. The purpose is to view graffiti in a positive way. I want the audience to see graffiti in a different way whenever they walk by the street or something. Graffiti is more than just a bunch of punk kids tagging around the city with slang, but it's something that's beautiful and brings something so much to a community. Graffiti can bring an inspiring way to give speech to the world, and graffiti helps artists grow and support themselves. Once an abandoned small building can be turned into some beautiful pieces of work. Thank you.